Quick question. Why can't you watch a film anymore without picking up your phone? Like proper, full attention, no second screen. A lot of people generally can't do it anymore, unless it's a good film, I'm the same. And it's not because you've got a short attention span or you're broken. It's because your dopamine's fried. And that's the worst part. It didn't happen by accident. There are companies that did it to you on purpose. And they're very, very good at what they do. So let's actually talk about dopamine, because once you understand how it fully works, then you can change. You can start to make a change. So first thing, everyone gets dopamine wrong. We talk about it like the pleasure chemical, the thing that makes you feel good. It's not really. Dopamine isn't about the pleasure of getting something. It's about the wanting, the chasing, the anticipation. Here's the experiment that proved it. They wired up monkeys and gave them a little hit of juice. Big dopamine spike. Makes sense. Then they started playing a sound right before the juice. After a while, the dopamine stopped firing for the juice and it started firing for the sound instead. The brain, it stopped caring about the reward and started caring about the signal that a reward was coming. And that's the whole game. Dopamine is the chase, not the catch. And once you get that, everything else makes sense. So what about a TikTok feed then? Actually is. So if you think about a TikTok feed, you swipe, you don't know what's next. Could be amazing, could be rubbish. You generally don't know. And that not knowing, that is the exact thing dopamine fires for, the maybe. It's the same mechanism as a slot machine. Like I said in my previous video, a slot machine isn't addictive because you win. It's addictive because you might win, and you can't predict when. Scientists call it variable reward. And it's the single most powerful way to hook a brain that exists. Predictable reward get boring fast. Unpredictable ones, you can pull that lever forever. And that's not me being dramatic. These apps are literally designed of the same psychology as casinos. They're randomly appearing likes. The feed that refreshes when you pull down. The pull to refresh gesture is a slot machine to handle. They just didn't tell you. None of it is an accident. There are these teams of people who have entire jobs is to keep you swiping, and they're paid a lot of money to win that fight against your self-control. It's really not a fair fight if you think about it. Now here's where it's going to get a bit uncomfortable, but it's the most important bit, so stay with me. And just a quick heads up, I'm saying corn here, but just you actually know what I mean. Just keeping it, advertiser friendly, child friendly. But everything I said about scrolling, corn is that on steroids, because it's not just a variable reward. It's what scientists call a supernormal stimulus. Basically, a fake signal that's way stronger than anything your brain evolved to handle. Your brain was built for the occasional real-life encounter. It was absolutely not built for unlimited, infinite things that you can see on the internet, like those sites. And every 30 seconds, it's a new thing, a new thing. It's not normal. And your brain responds to that flood in the only way it knows how to. It turns the volume down, and when you blast it with that much dopamine that often, it starts pulling out receptors. Fewer receptors, less sensitivity. Which means you need more and more extreme just to feel the same way you used to feel, way less. And that's what escalates. That's not a personal failing. That's just machinery doing exactly what it does under that much stimulation. And the killer part, when you dull your dopamine for that, you're not just dulling it for corn, you're dulling it for everything. The baseline, it comes down. That's why after you do that, just everything. And I can relate. When I used to do that, everything just drops. There's no motivation, and just everything feels like a drag. Like you're motivated, and then you do it, and then there's no energy whatsoever. Normal life starts to feel grey. That's the thing. Things that used to be enough just aren't anymore. There's a Stanford psychiatrist, Anna Lembick, I think that's her name, who explains this better than anyone. She says, think of a pleasure and a pain as a seesaw in your brain. Every time you hit a pleasure, a swipe, a video, whatever, the seesaw tips one way. But your brain hates being tipped. It wants balance. So it pushes the other side down to level out. But here's the catch. The brain overcorrects and it tips slightly into pain. That little flat, restless, I need something feeling right after you stop scrolling. That's the seesaw dropping onto the pain side. So you reach your phone again to feel normal. And if you keep hammering the pleasure side all day, every day, the seesaw basically gets stuck, tilted towards pain. That's the grey feeling. That's the fried baseline. You spend your dopamine and now you're flat as your normal. So, okay, so enough doom. I mean, I've talked about this and it sounds depressing, right? But here's the good news. You can recover because your brain is always trying to get back to the balance. You just have to stop knocking it over. The big one is dull. It's the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. Time off stimulation. Her research points to roughly 2 to 4 weeks of cutting that big trigger before your receptors start coming back and normal stuff feels good again. The first week or so feels the worst. But That's a seesaw rebalancing, and most people quit right before it pays off. Push through that, and the other side of it is generally getting more out of small things again. That's also stuff you can lean on the other way. Things that raise your dopamine slowly and cleanly instead of spiking it. Cold exposure is a wild one. A cold shower, a cold plunge can raise your dopamine, and weirdly, it stays up for hours after. No crash. Exercise, proper sleep, which is, by the way, is the most underrated by miles, and meditation. I looked into it because I wasn't sure it counted, and it does, because it's less of a spike, but it's more about training you to sit with that restless feeling, those thoughts, that overthinking, instead of immediately reaching for your phone, for a hit, for a swipe, just to make it's good to just sit there in meditation. But anyway, which is kind of the whole skill when you think about it. Like, I'm not going to pretend I've mastered any of what I'm saying. I haven't. But I might actually test some of it, on camera maybe. But a proper reset on this channel, and we'll see what happens. So look, the point of all of it is this. It isn't to make you scared of your phone. Dopamine isn't the enemy. You need it. That's the thing that makes you want to do anything at all. The point is just to see it, to know when you can't put your phone down. That's not you being weak. That's a system that's been deliberately engineered to beat you. But honestly, once you see the strings, they pull on you a little less, and that's it. That's the whole video. If you ever try to reset, or you've got some method that actually worked for you, let me know. But I thought I'd make this video about dopamine because personally I want to learn about it as well, and I feel like the best way for me to learn about stuff is just talk about it. So I might as well just make a video about it as well. And I can watch it back myself, even though when I listen to myself it's the most cringiest thing ever. But yeah, let me know what you guys want to hear in the next video.